Welcome to From the Shed, and with myself, T.Dot, as always. Thank you very much for joining me. Not even sure I've got headphones on, I don't need them, but thank you very much for joining me. Before we get into the video, please subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as well about what we're going to discuss. Make sure you hit that Linktree link in the description as always. Yeah, let's get straight into it, man. Let's get straight into it. Let me take these off. Let's get straight into it, because how poor were we last night? How poor were we in terms of the performance, in terms of the lineup, in terms of everything? How poor were we? It's one thing I'm going to say, I think, from now to the end of the season. How poor were we? How poor were we? How poor were we? It was awful. We were poor. I don't get it. I don't get it. This is an opportunity for some of these players to win something this season, win something with Chelsea. Some of these players are going to be moving on in the summer. We know that already. We know Hakim Ziyech is going to be one of those players potentially. There's talk of Mason Mount, Conor Gallagher. Mateo Kovacic still hasn't had any indication that he's going to get a deal, a new deal. You'd think Mendy or Kepa, one of those two, will move on in the summer. This is an opportunity for some of these players to win the Champions League, the most prestige thing you can win as a player, bar the World Cup. The Champions League is the pinnacle of some people's careers. They don't even get to play in the World Cup or the Euros. So winning the Champions League should be everything. It doesn't matter who you come up against either. I know people are going to say it was Real Madrid, and Real Madrid are a team that will do that to teams, to other teams. They can punish you and whatever else. And I'm going to be honest, I was not optimistic going into this game. I didn't think we were going to come out of the game and thrash Real Madrid 3 or 4-0. That's something we haven't done all season. So I'm not stupid. I knew we weren't going to do that, but wow, poor. I don't know where to start. I'm going to start with the lineup as I usually do. Kepa in goal. We had Reece James as right wing back with Wesley Fofana, Thiago Silva, Koulibaly, Ben Chilwell. We had Enzo, Mateo Kovacic, and N'Golo Kante. We had a front two of João Felix and Raheem Sterling. And on paper, I'm going to be honest, I don't like this free midfield. I'll be honest, I don't like the free midfield. I don't think it's worked when we played against Wolves. We went with 4-3-3. Didn't work with the free midfield. And I still think, and I'm going to stick to my gun, I'm going to stick to my word when I say this, but I still think Enzo Fernandez has to play further up the field. He has to play further up the field. He has to. There's so many things going wrong in terms of how we lose possession because of that midfield. We need to get someone next to Enzo Fernandez. At the moment, yes, we think that's going to be N'Golo Kante, but moving forward, I want to see Enzo getting forward a bit more. I want to see him getting forward. Because to be fair, he doesn't drop into that space that you would traditionally think a number 6 would drop into. He doesn't drop into those pockets of space and counteract whatever the other team's going to do. He doesn't actually do that. He didn't do it last night. It was so easy for Valverde, for Vinicius Jr., for Benzema, for Luka Modric, for Toni Kroos, for all of those players to just walk through our team. It was too easy. We made it so easy. It was embarrassing. It was an embarrassing performance. And look, I said all day yesterday, I think maybe on the preview before the game, I'd take a 1-0. I'd take 1-0. What I didn't add to that was I'd take 1-0 against us. I'd rather we lose 1-0, but still put in a really decent performance. Because at least then I know next week, next Tuesday at Stamford Bridge, I know that we're going to fight. We're going to try and do something. But we never even done that. We allowed the amount of space Real Madrid had to just pick out passes, do what they want with the ball, control the tempo, maneuver the ball around us. it was crazy to watch. And you know, Theo, you know, he was there live. He got to see it live. You know, we'll hear what he says on the next recording of the podcast. But from what he said, you know, it was just as bad in the stadium. You know, there was some fans that were shouting about Cucurella, which we'll get onto later on. But it was poor. I mean, the first half, the first 10, 15 minutes, I thought, yeah, this is us. We're going to try and do something. We actually started relatively well. We didn't look that bad going forward. And as slowly as the game went on, Vinicius Junior warms up, he gets into the game. Karim Benzema warms up, gets into the game. Rodrigo warms up, gets into the game. Even Camavinga as a left back, and I know he's played there recently for Real Madrid. He's been playing there for some time for Carlo Ancelotti, but even I thought he might struggle against Reece James and, you know, Carvajal down the other side. I thought they might struggle, and neither of them were really tested. Yeah, they both got booked, but Carvajal's was for a stupid foul on Cucurella, and Camavinga, I can't even remember that there was that many bookings yesterday. That was another thing with the ref, but it was a poor performance from us. And then as the game went on, you look at the way that Real Madrid broke us down throughout that game, and we made it so easy for them. Wesley Fofana and Reece James, wow, both of them together, in my opinion, were poor last night. And people are going to say Reece James is carrying an injury. You know, Vinicius Junior will do that to a lot of players. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be one of the best right backs or right wing backs in the world. He'll tell you a new one. He's that good of a player. But Wesley Fofana, the one player that I have praised for some time on the podcast and on these videos, was poor. He looked awful against Benzema. The first goal, I think it's Vinicius Junior. He doesn't really know what to do. He just looks out of sorts for Wesley Fofana. Kepa, could he do better for that goal? Personally, I think he could. I think he can do better. I think he gets a stronger hand onto that and parries it away from Benzema. It's just feeble. It's a feeble save from Kepa. And credit to Benzema, who's someone who is in the position where you just know instantly as a striker, you carry on that run, you're expecting the ball to come to you, and it does. You know, and it's a tap in. It's the easiest goal Benzema's going to score all season. So for me personally, I think when you go 1-0 down, you've got to show something. You've got to show desire. You've got to show resilience. You've got to show that you want to go on and win this game. And we never done that. What we actually did was sat back even further and allowed Real Madrid again to dictate the tempo of the game, how the game was going to be played, and we never done anything. You know, our tactic yesterday was leave João Felix up front on his own, long the ball, kick it as far as possible, hope that Raheem Sterling or João Felix get the ball, and just run with it and hope that someone's in the box. And you against Real Madrid, you know, this is Real Madrid. Real Madrid. You can't just play a counter-attacking football against them, because they'll just isolate your attackers, which is what they did. It was poor. I can't understand it. João Felix has a perfect opportunity, and this is why I think I said on, if not the last video, maybe the video before that, we cannot allow this club, Todd Bowley, the owners, to spend 80 million. And from what I'm reading today, 100 million is what Atletico is going to ask for João Felix. We cannot afford to pay that much for him. We can't. There's too many things in our team that need addressing for us to go out and spend 100 million on a player where I'm not sure where he actually fits into the team. Part of me actually forgot about the finances we've done to bring him into the club on loan for half a season. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. We've brought him in. Has he got? I don't think he's got any. Has he got an assist? I don't think he has. I think he's probably scored 2 goals. I think. Like, is that even worth? Is he worth starting next game? Is he even worth starting in the next game against Brighton? I don't know. I really don't know. I do not understand what João Felix brings to this team at the moment. He's one-on-one. You know, he looked really sharp when he first signed for us. You know, remember that Fulham game, that little cameo before he got sent off, and he looked really sharp. But something has happened with him. I don't know what's happened with him, but something has happened. Morale seems to be on the floor in the basement. Something has to change. Sterling, another one. I mean, what happened? I mean, the thing with Sterling, and I remember saying this, I don't know if it was on From the Shed End or another podcast, but I did say Raheem Sterling has gone from Pep Guardiola shouting at him on the touchline. He went from that to Thomas Tuchel to then having Graham Potter. Now he's got Frank Lampard. The change in Raheem Sterling, the lack of quality that he shows is alarming. And when you look back on it on hindsight with João Felix and with Raheem Sterling, if they were that good, ask yourself this. Let me know what you think in the comments as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. But if Raheem Sterling and João Felix were that good, if they were good enough, if they were dubbed as world-class players for their clubs before they moved to Chelsea, would Diego Simeone have let João Felix leave Atletico? Would Pep Guardiola really have allowed Raheem Sterling to leave Manchester City if he felt they were both of quality? They could add something to their team. I don't think they have. You know, I don't think either have done anything for us. Really, Raheem Sterling looks shot to bits, like he doesn't want to be at the club anymore, like he's made a mistake. I don't get it. It's such a confusing time, and I think back to, you know, the amount of money we've spent in the last 6 or 7 months. You know, Raheem Sterling's one of those players that you would expect with the Premier League experience, with working with Pep Guardiola, that will be able to come into this team and galvanise it slightly, change something going forward for us. You know, we've been lacking that when we had with Timo Werner. When we signed Raheem Sterling, we thought, right, we've got someone that can actually do something. You know, who's brilliant on the ball, can get the ball into the box. And even now, you see him last night. His head's down, he's running towards goal, towards a corner flag at times, and he's not looking up. There's no one in the box, or it was just a weird lineup for us last night. I felt, and we didn't really help ourselves with the lineup in terms of the formation, how we set up. I felt like we isolated ourselves a lot going forward. You know, Theo said there was you know, a particular chance, which I'm sure he'll tell us about when he joins us for the recording next week, about, you know, everything in the defence but nothing in attack, and we didn't have nothing going forward. You can't put João Felix and Raheem Sterling up front. And this goes back to what I said before. We don't have a recognised striker in our Champions League squad. That is criminal. That is absolutely criminal, to think that we've got an opportunity to win the Champions League, and for whatever reason we thought best not to put Aubameyang in that team, or Datro Fofana in that team. Someone who is a striker. I'm not saying they've got to start every game, but he's an option off the bench if you're losing 1-0 to Real Madrid in a quarter-final at the Bernabeu. It just doesn't, I mean, doesn't make any sense to me. Someone who's got the experience of playing at this top level for Dortmund, for Barca, for Arsenal. He's played at European level for all of those clubs. And we've left him at home on a night where you need someone to score you a goal. Had we scored last night, whether it was 2-1 or 1-0, 1-1, I think we would have gone into that game next week with a bit more belief, a bit more passion, a bit more thought that we were actually going to get something out of the game. But, I mean, look, it was poor. It was poor from us. And I think, you know, Koulibaly coming off, I think, obviously changed a lot of things for me. I thought he had a really good game up until the injury, even to get that recovery running for, I think it was for Rodrigo, I think, where he caused the injury to himself. I think he was just literally bursting a gut to get back. He done really well to recover that ball. But again, I look at Frank Lampard, and I tweeted this at the time. Trevor Chalobah is on the bench. You have a recognised centre-back on the bench. He opts for Marco Correa. And I'll be honest, when I saw Marco Correa coming into the team, the first thing I thought was, game over. Game over. Something is going to happen here where we either lose dramatically 3-4, 5-0, he gives away a penalty, or we get an own goal for Mark. We're going to get something disastrous from Marc Cucurella. And we did. He didn't actually disappoint us. He actually gave us a disastrous moment in the game. The moment was a free kick that was lofted in. I can't remember who by. Rodrigo makes the run. Marc Cucurella, for some weird reasons, is stepped forward. So he's allowed Rodrigo to just sprint off the back of him. Ben Chilwell, in my opinion, has no choice but to it's either goal or red card or penalty or potentially a yellow card if the referee's a bit more lenient. But he gives him the red card for the pull on Rodrigo. And it's a red. I mean, his last man is a goal scoring opportunity. But it could have been avoided. Again, my point is the positioning of Marc Cucurella is poor. And he has to be further back. He has to know where Rodrigo's going to be. And he has to know the type of run to expect from him. Now, should Ben Chilwell do better? Yes, because Ben Chilwell should anticipate that run, and he should know, right, I've got to expect that Marc Cucurella is going to step forward, is going to make that mistake. As a defender, I've played there myself. You've got to know, you've got to think outside the box. You've got to think 2 steps ahead. You've got to think that that ball isn't going to get to that player, or that defender's going to make a mistake. So I have to be there to clean up that. And he never done that. He almost hesitates and he's on the back foot automatically, pulls him back. It's a red card, and it's a costly red card because now you look at the second leg, you think, Marc Cucurella has to now play either a left back position or if it is a back 5 with a left wing back. And we got to see how poor he was at left wing back. You think again, Carvajal, Valverde, and Rodrigo next week, if that is their lineup, how poor that's going to be for us. Koulibaly might be out now as well. So you'd think, does he go back to a back 4? Does he bring in Trevor Chalobah now? Who, for me personally, should have potentially started or come on at least when that substitution was made for Koulibaly. He should come on and change that game. Because when he came on, he was comfortable on the ball. Trevor Chalobah doesn't really make many mistakes. I don't understand why he's not playing him. I really don't. The same with Graham Potter. They haven't played him, and he should be playing Trevor Chalobah because he's comfortable, and he needs. For me personally, he's one of the most comfortable centre backs we have, bar Thiago Silva, at the club currently. He's one of the most consistent players we've had, and I can't think of too many times Trevor Chalobah's put a foot wrong in our back line. The only game that really springs out to me is probably it was against Liverpool, Stamford Bridge. He made a mistake for Mane's goal. And that was the last time I can remember making a costly mistake. I could say a lot more about Koulibaly. He makes a lot more mistakes. But he's in the team. So now it's a massive headache for for Frank Lampard. That back line's completely been shattered. You look at Koulibaly, does he miss the second leg? You look at Chilwell getting that red card. We have to talk about Kepa. Because Kepa for the second goal, I mean, first of all, it's off a set piece. And if you watch these videos before, you'll know how I feel about set pieces and how we gift them away, free kicks, corners. But the second goal, I think it's Asensio, edge of the box. Kepa has to save that. He has to save. There's no ifs or buts. He has to save that goal. He has to save it. I don't even want to talk about it. He has to save the goal. Yes, it goes through Fofana's legs, but still, you've got to save the goal. This is a massive question mark for Kepa because now, someone who's been really well for us, done really well while Mendy's been injured, but there's so many things that he doesn't, for me now, the mistakes are creeping back in for him. And we all know that Frank Lampard was not a big fan of Kepa on his first managerial stint at the club. You do have to question, does he bring Mendy back in for Brighton? Does he bring him back in for Brighton? Because for me personally, he has to bring him back in. I mean, the season's done anyway, but I think in terms of maybe Mendy starting against Real Madrid on Tuesday night, Mendy's missed a lot of football through injury. I'd potentially play him against Brighton on Saturday, give him an opportunity in goal, and then maybe play Mendy on Tuesday as well, and give Kepa a rest, because it could just be fatigue, it could be tiredness. You think about how many games Kepa's played since that injury to Mendy as well. So, but the second goal he has to save 100% for me. You know, we made it too easy for Real Madrid. Way too easy for Real Madrid in that game, and it was so easy for them just to pick us apart. They're going to do a lot worse if we play how we did against them last night. They're going to do a lot worse to us at Stamford Bridge. And like I said at the start of this is our only opportunity to get some silverware. We should not be going into that game on Tuesday night thinking we're 2-0 down. We should be thinking, with Chelsea, we can win that game. But I'm going to move on to something that I've been saying for so long, and Theo said it as well, and I know other Chelsea fans have said it. We ain't got no leaders. We do not have one leader, maybe Thiago Silva at a push. But we don't have any leaders on that team. You think back to the days when we had Frank Lampard, we had John Terry. We had leaders. Even Petr Cech, I give him his credit as well. Even Diego Costa. I want to see some of these players I want to see arguing on the pitch. I want to see you shouting at your teammate for not doing their job. And we ain't seeing it. We haven't seen that for years. We haven't seen it for years. Mental. We've not seen, Gary Cahill, another one. Carvalho, another one. We've got no leaders. We've got individuals who think they're amazing. We've got a young squad who think they're amazing, but we haven't got leaders in the dressing room, on the pitch. We haven't. And this is the problem. This is where we've gone wrong for the last couple of seasons. We haven't got a recognised striker. We haven't got a prolific striker. We haven't got a prolific striker, and we have not got leaders. There should be someone, and it doesn't have to be the captain, but we need someone who's going to get that team at half time and talk to them. You look at Arsenal, even when there's a player injured, they're all huddled together, talking. We're just walking around. Our heads are down. They get an injury, Arsenal, and they're all huddled together, talking together. They're all talking together. The togetherness. When they score, you see the passion in them. We can't even say that. We don't score goals. And let me add this as well. This is our first time in 30 years we've not scored in consecutive games. So our last 4 games we've not scored in. That's the first time that's happened in 30 years. It's criminal. This season, I said, November, October, I said, write the season off and buckle in. And I hope all you Chelsea fans have buckled in, because now we are literally free fall right now. The season ends in just under a month, and we still don't have 40 points on the table. This is poor recruitment, poor decision making from the ownership. And in all honesty, this will now creep into next season. I tweeted last night that we need to see the new permanent manager come in, be announced, and allow that manager, whoever that is, to come in, address and assess this team, see who has to go, see who's going to stay, what changes need to be made, and allow that person to come in and do that now. Because if we wait till the summer to announce someone, or we wait till the middle of pre-season to announce someone when we're in America, it's going to be a chaotic season again. And I'll be honest, I don't actually trust the owners to get this decision right either, or to stick by it. That's another thing. We could ask for Luis Enrique or Julian Nagelsmann or whoever it's going to be, and there's no guarantee. We've just seen with Graham Potter, who lasted 7 months, and the board backed him apparently and said he's going to be given time. He's going to be given 18 months, 2 years to prove he can do the job. And he was sacked after 7 months. So there's no guarantee that this owner's really are going to get this right as well. So there's a lot of ifs and buts with the club at the moment. And I'll be honest, I mean, next week is all or nothing, literally. All or nothing. And if I was playing for Chelsea, if I had the Chelsea badge on and I was playing for the team, regardless of my wages, I honestly would work and run through brick walls. Not just for Frank Lampard. Not just for the fans that turn up to the stadium, But for all the fans, every single fan that watches and supports the club, I would run through brick walls next Tuesday. The problem is we ain't got the players to do that. We've got players who would much rather walk around the pitch like João Felix last night. Credit to Mason Mount, because he's someone that I've gave a lot of stick to. But when he came on last night, he didn't really affect the game, but he was pressing, and he was pressing on his own, to credit him. And that's a silly thing to do, because you got to press as a team. But he was pressing. He was trying to chase down every single ball. I think the first tackle he went in on either Carvajal or Valverde. I think it was Carvajal. He lunged. He left something on him. He said, "We're not taking this. We're going to leave something on you so you remember." And he done that. And I credit Mason Mount, because he came on. He tried. He had the opportunity. If you remember, where Rudiger blocked it as well. You know, he's the only one for me that was actually trying to get something out of the game. The one player that I've criticised probably more than any this season was the one that actually wanted to try and win us the game. So credit to Mason Mount, another player that I would put in the team on Saturday. I had him in my predicted lineup for last night. He's someone that has to start for me on Saturday and on Tuesday night as well. Mudryk, I don't know where is Mudryk? Where is he? Where's Madueke? Where are these players? Because I don't see them in the team anymore. And we've just spent a lot of money on Mudryk, and where is he? Why is he not getting a run out? I don't know. This season, to be honest, and I've never said this as a Chelsea fan, but I can't wait for the season to be over. I can't. I'm not even bothered when we lose anymore, because we don't deserve to win. You look at the fixtures coming up. I think we got 9 games left, 8 games left now. Maybe Forest, maybe Nottingham Forest, we will beat them. Maybe Nottingham Forest will beat them, but where's our next goal coming from? Where's our next points coming from? I joked about the relegation stuff, but if this was, we're quite lucky that we've won some games. 2 or 3 games that we could potentially lost. We'd be talking about a relegation scrap right now. It's poor from us. Things have to change. For me personally, should Mason Mount sign this new contract? This is something that was coming out today. A lot of reports are suggesting that Mason Mount might sign a new deal. I mean, look, I've always said I want him to stay at the club. If the money in the deal's right for him, then it sounds like that's the only thing that's stopping this deal is the money situation. The length of the contract. The money situation, I don't think is even an issue for Mason Mount. It's the 8-year length of the contract that is an issue for Mason Mount. You're looking at Reece James, who I think signed a 6-year extension to his contract. Chilwell's has got a 2-year extension on his. So you'd think maybe Mason Mount, maybe getting a 3 or 4 year isn't out of the question, and they can meet in the middle in terms of the ownership. So we'll have to see there. But for me personally, there's a massive question mark about the FFP. There's a lot of players that we have to sell by the 30th of June as well. You'd think maybe Mason Mount will be one of those top end players. If we do sell, Mason Mount will be one of the top end ones that will go. I hope it's not to Liverpool if we do sell. I think I read again this morning that Liverpool potentially would be able to sign him for 70 million, 60, 70 million in that region. So if that is the case, you're taking a lot off the books there. But if Mason Mount can rediscover that form under a quality manager, and it has to be Luis Enrique, let's be honest, it has to be Luis Enrique, because you look at those players there, they're not crap players that we've got in that team. They're not crap players. They're just not motivated. They're all checked out. They're all in Marbella and all the Mykonos and all these other places, Dubai, wherever they go on their holidays. They've checked out mentally, these players. So when it comes to the preseason, we need someone in this club managing this team that can manage all types of players, egos, personalities, quality of players, all of that. Now, if that's not Julian Nagelsmann, the only person I'm looking to is Luis Enrique to do that job. It has to be him, in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about last night's performance? Do we have a chance next Tuesday against Real Madrid, Stamford Bridge? Who would you start against Brighton on Saturday, 3 p.m? And should Mason Mount sign a new contract with Chelsea as well? Or do you see him leaving the club with only 1 year left on his deal currently? expected to join Liverpool. A lot of the sources and news that's coming out is that he's going to join Liverpool. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that Linktree link in the description as well. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back very soon with another